Hello, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. I'm here with Scott Aaron, and we're going to be talking about using LinkedIn as part of your sales strategy. Now, I know that there's people out there that still think that LinkedIn is about posting pictures of your lunch, and still think that making phone calls and sending spam emails is the. But by the way, excuse Scott, he's got a bit of a chest cold, so
a little bit.
I know that people still think that making cold calls and sending spam emails is the best way to get leads and meetings. But Scott is going to hopefully convince a couple of you that there is a different way. Scott, welcome. And where can people find you?
Hey, Tim, grateful to be here, and grateful that you came on my podcast, and happy to return the favor and be a guest on yours. Yeah, the best way to find me obviously is on LinkedIn under Scott Aaron. I'll populate, in one of those ways. You can also go to my website, scottaaron.net. But in all honesty, if you just Google Scott Aaron LinkedIn, you'll find me everywhere. My podcast, YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm everywhere, but
I think you're the first person to come on here and call Twitter X and not say something about Twitter, because usually it's a conversation about Twitter and then someone goes, "Oh yeah, it's called X now."
Yeah, I mean, if it's not called Twitter anymore, I'm not going to call it Twitter. I mean, if you go to twitter.com, it still redirects you to X. So if it's been rebranded as X, then I'm going to call it X. I mean, that's really how it goes.
So, Scott, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Really?
It's funny because I saw an interesting post the other day on LinkedIn about people trying to, I don't want to say beat the system, but hack the system, in the sense of everyone is going after the vanity metric clout, meaning they want all the views, they want all the likes, they want all the comments, and they'll join these engagement pods and basically pay a couple $100 a month, and everyone excuse me, likes and comments on each other's stuff. But the other thing is that there's a discrepancy with how should I actually be using LinkedIn, and B, will it even work? So you have these marketing companies that tell you that you can set it and forget it. You can use these automated softwares that connect and message for you, and you'll just have 30, 40, 50 lead calls drop into your calendar every single week, which couldn't be further from the truth, because that doesn't work anymore, no matter. And there will be people that tell you that that does work, and it doesn't. The second thing I'll say to that, if you are using automated software, if you're using a marketing company, if you are automating any of that connection and message process, you're actually in violation of the user agreement of LinkedIn.
You are.
And you do run the risk of getting your account not just restricted, but deleted. So LinkedIn is
I know people that have had that done to them.
Me too. LinkedIn's not playing around anymore. So it does work. You just have to get creative in the way of how you're communicating with people and how you're connecting with them.
But I still see on LinkedIn, and for me, I'm British, so I find irony extremely funny. I come from a background of Monty Python and stuff. So when I see people using social media as a way of actually telling me to do cold calling, I find it really funny. Because if cold calling worked, why are they coming on social media to tell me? Surely they'd ring me up to tell me.
Well, cold calling worked when phone books still existed about 35 years ago.
Yes.
So there's anyone that tells you that there is still a place and a space. And it's so funny, Tim. I did a poll the other day. Funny story. Last week, I got a random phone call. I had dropped my son off after baseball tryouts. It was a Sunday night. He was trying out for a travel team, which he made. So I'm very happy about that. And I'm driving home, and my phone rings. And it wasn't like a block number or potential spam number. It looked like a real number, so I answered it. And it was a LinkedIn connection of mine that I had never spoken to, never talked to, that was basically saying, hey, Scott, it's so and so. We're first connections on LinkedIn. And I wanted to give you a call to personally invite you to an online presentation in about an hour. Would you like to join? And I'm like, no. And please don't call me out of the blue like this ever again. And so this is what people are doing. So I did a poll, basically saying, have you ever received an unwarranted email or phone call from any of your LinkedIn connections without asking for permission? So I had all these old school sales professionals saying they don't need to ask for your permission. Without sales reps, there would be no money being made in business. Smiling and dialing is okay. Cold calling is fine. And then there were some, I don't want to say newer age, but obviously you and I were not the same age. But the one thing that I think unites our theories is we have adapted to the ways of how you should be connecting and laying to rest things that don't work anymore. And for me, if I was strictly just teaching sales professionals how to generate more leads, I could promise you one of the things that I wouldn't be teaching them would be to unwarrantedly call their LinkedIn connections and email them without their permission.
You're preaching to the converted. I mean, it's I totally understand, and I quite often see, sellers have got to sell and marketers have got to market. It's like, actually, so I can give you an example. A client of ours, coaching one of the salespeople, he stopped sending spam emails and cold calling because it generates nothing for him. Last week, he generated 3 meetings through social. Now, I know 3 isn't a lot, but he's only just started, and he only generated 3 in a week. But if that's rolled out across the whole of the sales team, and he gets better, and I have benchmarks figures to show that he will, just think of the transformation that would bring to your organization.
Again, I always tell people it's not the quantity, it's the quality, right? And a benchmark that I like to set for people is booking 3 calls a week. If you book 3 calls a week, that's 12 calls a month. And here's the great thing. If you just close 20%, that's 2 to 3 sales every single month. And I don't care what you're selling, what your offer is, how little or how much. Any business owner would be more than over the moon happy if they were getting consistently 2 to 3 new sales every single month. And that's the thing. LinkedIn is an organic platform. It's anyone, and I just like to debunk any misinformation that's out there. And you'll see people on LinkedIn that consider themselves LinkedIn experts. I don't consider myself a LinkedIn expert. I don't consider myself a LinkedIn guru. I am someone that found a home on this platform, found a very genuine and authentic way of using it, honing in on my human connection skills. I've built a ton of business relationships and business allies. And people have asked me, can you teach me how to do the same thing? That's all I'm doing. And the fact is that everything that I do is to leave people better, from conversations that I have with people, from messaging people the right way, creating content, doing LinkedIn lives, creating my newsletter. Everything is built from the side of, what can I do on this platform to leave people better, giving without expecting anything back in return? Because, the adage goes, you have to give in order to get. But there's a lot of people out there, Tim, that will tell you, oh, I can show you how to generate hundreds and thousands of leads on LinkedIn. The discrepancy is this, Tim. People are mismarketing a lead as a connection.
Yes.
Meaning, yes, you can generate hundreds of connections a week. That is known. You can generate hundreds of connections a week. That does not mean they're leads.
No.
A lead is after someone becomes a connection. How can you convert those connections into qualified business relationships, whether it's getting on a phone call, getting on a Zoom. And it's a small number because so many people are over inundated with spam drunkalog messages and spam salesy pitch notes added to connection requests that, you know what? Now more than ever, people are more skeptical than ever about getting on a call with someone they don't know. That's why you have to double, triple, quadruple down on the value of the content that you provide, because that is what builds the know, like, and trust. And when those people start engaging in your content, they start attending your weekly LinkedIn Live, they start voting in your polls, they start connecting with you, they start commenting, they start engaging. Guess what? That is an open door for you to then send a nice message saying, thanks for engaging in my content. Would love to hop on a call or a Zoom to hear about your business, share more about mine, and how we can support each other. That is how marketing and business connections are made.
So, Scott, that's why LinkedIn. What about, why do you need to build a network? And you've already said there's a difference between contacts. You can get a piece of software that will basically generate loads of contacts.
Oh yeah.
And a network. What is the difference? And
So,
why do you need a network?
Yeah, so the network aspect of LinkedIn is vital because the greatest amount of organic visibility with reach of your content and information is on LinkedIn right now. So you can get more traction, more visibility through building the right kind of network. So I always tell people, when you're building a network on LinkedIn, it has to be done from two aspects. Number one, ideal clients. So from a profession or industry title standpoint, who are the people that if you connected with them, they accepted, and they would start seeing some of the content that you're pushing out, it would resonate with them. It would be like, man, Scott is talking directly to me. That is a pain point that I'm having. That is an area of business that I'm struggling with. You know, I need to either A, reach out to him directly, or B, pay close attention to everything that he puts out there. So that's the first part. So when you build a thriving network of people that are potential clients and customers, you're always going to have a pool of people and a pipeline of leads coming in. The other side of it is the power partner or business ally. Too many entrepreneurs put themselves on an island by themselves, in the sense that I don't need any help. I'm gonna put those blinders on and I'm just gonna run full steam ahead and I'm not gonna get any help from anyone because I can do this on my own. An army of two is twice as strong as an army of one. So for me, referrals are some of the best sources of leads for our business.
Yep.
And the way that you generate referral partners is by building really, really solid foundational business connections. So for me, and what I advise to everybody, is seeking out specific industry or profession business allies. So who are people that you could connect with that, you know, when they hear about what you do, who you serve, how you serve them, and vice versa, you can be referral partners. Because if you connect with someone that is also an active networker, where they're reaching out, they're connecting, they're messaging, they're meeting with people, and they have that connection call with you where they remember, oh, this person needs help with LinkedIn. I have a person for you that can help you with that. Let me do an introduction. And that's where the magic happens. So your network is in direct correlation to your net worth. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this all the time. So you're not spraying and praying on LinkedIn, meaning you're not just, clicking the button and trying to build, the biggest network possible. It has taken me 11 years to get to 29,746 followers on LinkedIn. It did not happen overnight. It's been an 11-year process. So everyone looks at my status on LinkedIn. Oh, you're a LinkedIn top voice. You have all these followers. It didn't happen overnight. You're seeing the glory, but you don't know the story behind everything.
Mm.
How many phone calls, right? How much time I've put into this platform. Everybody wants instantaneous results. That is a recipe for disaster. Building a business is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You can't rush relationships. You can't rush those business partners You have to build them over time. It's like dating. You're not looking to get someone back to the apartment on the first night. You're looking for a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth date where there's a meaningful connection made and it's a bond that will never be broken.
So how can we measure message connections? Because what I see that out on LinkedIn is, well, LinkedIn make money from sending emails, which is ultimately spam.
Right.
But what can we do to actually grow our networks to actually get to build that network?
So there's four things that I typically recommend. Number one, you can still send that very genuine first reach out message organically to someone that accepts your connection. So, I send Tim a connection request, he accepts. I can send him a message later that day or the next day, hey, Tim, great to officially be connections here on LinkedIn. Would love to hear more about you and your business, share more about me and mine, and how we can support each other here on the platform. Anytime for a call or a Zoom this or next week. So it's a very warm, open message where there's no sales pitch attached. You're really looking to get to know the person. That way works, but not as well as it did before because of all the spam that's been going out on the platform. So there's three other things that I always recommend doing. Number one, every single day, as you're scrolling through your newsfeed on LinkedIn, choose 2 to 3 connections of yours that have posted relevant content that you resonate with. And what you want to do is engage, like, love, share, support, and comment. And I'm not saying give like a thumbs up emoji in the comments. You want to do something called a relevant comment, which means you're adding additional value to the thoughts and what has been said in that post. Because what LinkedIn does, it actually boosts it as a relevant comment, which gives you visibility to every single person that actually sees that comment, which is going to bring more attention to your profile. It'll grow your following and grow your connections. Now, the second thing that I always recommend doing is doing a weekly market research poll. So, Robert said, would love more thoughts on CEO pain points who don't publicly comment or engage. One of the best things that you can do, and this directly correlates to what Robert just said, is doing weekly market research polls on LinkedIn. Don't ask people how they take their coffee with sugar or cream or, black, whatever it is. Don't ask people, do they eat breakfast or not? Ask people pain point questions, and to Robert's point, think about what the most, I would say, known pain points that CEOs have, and you can simply say, as a CEO and business owner, what are the biggest pain points that you and your company or business is facing right now? Number one, employee retention. Number two, employee environment. Three, HR. Four, other, comment below. Now, that's just an example. What that does is it engages your network in a way where they don't have to comment, but they can just vote, right? And here's the thing, it is anonymous because the only people that can see who has voted is you. So this is where that other way of connecting with people comes into play. So what I do is after my poll, has gotten a couple days of traction, I'll click on the votes and I'll see who voted for what. If they're a first connection, I'll send them a kind message. Hey Robert, thank you so much for taking part in my recent poll this week. I noticed you voted for X, Y, and Z. If I can be of any support or assistance at any point now and into the future, don't ever hesitate to reach out. Have a great rest of your day. So you're just nurturing, reaching out and touching. The third way that I always recommend, it's something that I do still to this day, is creating a LinkedIn newsletter where you can directly connect with your subscribers. So I started a newsletter on LinkedIn about 2 years ago called LinkedIn Tips and Updates. I have about 104 editions out there. I publish it every single week. And I have close to 7,600 subscribers of my newsletter now. And what I do is, and what I recommend is every week, as you get new subscribers, reach out and thank them for subscribing to your newsletter. And a simple thing that I do is, hey, Tim, thanks for recently subscribing to my newsletter, LinkedIn tips and updates. I hope you find great value in it. And if there's anything in specific you would like me to talk about, don't hesitate to reach out to, give me some suggestions. Have a great day, and thanks for subscribing. So there's no sales pitch, right? There's no specific end result in mind. It's letting that person know that you're there. You're a real human being. You're there for them to support them. That goes such a long way. That is the beginning of the nurture process. Because again, if there is a direct need, if there's a hole, a gap, a bottleneck in that person's business, and it's related to your zone of genius, guess who they're going to reach back out to? You.
Scott, thank you so much for coming on today. I think once you warmed up, the cold went away, didn't it?
It did. It's not, I'm sure once we hit stop, I will start hacking up a lung again, but as of right now, I feel good. Yeah, the adrenaline has taken over.
It has. Scott, thank you so much for coming on. And Jordan and Rob, thanks for all the comments as well. Scott, remind people where they can get hold of you.
Yep. On LinkedIn, obviously under Scott Aaron, or my website, scottaaron.net. Anyone that is looking to, really start optimizing LinkedIn the right way, there's a free gift on my website. It's 6 steps to perfecting your LinkedIn profile, which is the starting point of how to really get organic traction on LinkedIn. And it's there if anybody wants it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Scott. And
thank you, Tim.
And I appreciate coming on your podcast as well.
Yeah, it was an honor. And again, glad to be able to return the favor.
Thanks, Scott. Cheers.